My name is Jaspreet. I actually am a pharmacist by training, and I've spent more than 20 years actually in healthcare operations leaderships and systems where details actually really matter. But like Tammy said, I now work in AI. I spend most of my time actually developing and building with AI. So not just content production, but I'm talking about apps, workflows, decks, forms, automations, you name it. That is what I spend most of my day on. So I'm going to go through the presentation really fast. Again, it might feel a little bit disorienting, but you'll see me switch screens quite a bit. So just bear with me. So I'm going to pull up the first screen. So just that so you can see the actual coding platform I'm going to use. Just give me a second.
How many people here use AI? Just put it in the chat. Like, and what platform do you use?
Actually, I thought it might be fun to actually have active feedback as we're going through this. So
Okay,
once I
sure.
describe what we're actually building, it might be fun
Yeah.
to actually have actual feedback to see what people want to see in this. But I just wanted to mention that, the reason it doesn't seem intuitive, like why a pharmacist would be doing AI, but it does go back to a lot of the fact that I found AI during a really difficult part of my life, and it really streamlined everything for me. It lets me research before spending money. It lets me validate before building. It helps me ask better questions before trusting a quote or a vendor or an idea. And that matters to me because it takes a village, really, honestly, just to even live life. I'm a single female, and I find that I can really lean on AI to help me validate a lot of my experiences that in the world. So I'm going to start. So that's really why I'm in this space. My experience in healthcare is highly embedded in regulatory compliance, and that's where AI makes a lot of sense in my work as well. And that is how I support businesses, is ensuring that they are compliant with the regulatory pieces and using AI to really streamline their businesses. In what we're using right now, we're using Codex. So I do use Claude Code quite a bit as well. Both are really strong. So this is the most interesting thing in AI, is how quickly everything changes. And Tammy, I spoke to you last week and I told you to use Claude Code. And guess what? This week things have changed. And so this week Codex has caught up. And so I will be building in Codex. I will show you guys both systems so you are familiar with both. They have very similar features. And I think that's the biggest thing here, is that the information changes so quickly, and the technology, which is like top tier, changes so quickly. So Codex, for example, was not top tier last week, and it is basically neck and neck with Claude Code. So I think this is the one space where I find that watching videos, watching active builds happening, or really staying on top of like communications, newsletters, for the first time in my career, I'm finding that that is more important than actually going back to school and getting a formal education. Education obviously has its place, but this information just changes so quickly. So here I have inserted a prompt. Can you just, you can see my screen, I'm guessing you can see the Codex screen right now? Okay, awesome. I have inserted a prompt here. Now I preemptively created this prompt, and when we go back to my slide deck, I will explain how I came up with this prompt. But knowing that this will take probably 10 minutes to build, I wanted to get in here and actually start the process first. We are building a home vault, and I will explain in 2 seconds what that means. So I'm going to send this off to do its work, and I'm just going to change the screen so you can see my slide deck. So just give me 2 seconds again. Okay. So now we're looking at my slide deck, hopefully. Okay. So I came up with this idea because so what we're building is a home vault. I buy things, and I don't know if anybody else has this problem, or maybe it's just me because I have a horrible memory, but I buy things and then I forget that I buy them. So they sit in like a drawer, a cabinet in the basement, and I have no clue I have it, and then I will buy it over again. So the idea with this app is, what if your house had a search bar type of utility? So even better, what if you could take like a picture or a video of an entire cabinet, for example, and have AI do the entire inventory for you, and then you just kind of review it and add everything to your home vault. So that is what I put in the system, and that is what is being built on the back end. We're going to go through these slides so you can help, it will help you understand what is happening on the back end, and then close to the end we'll go back to the app so you can see what it actually developed. And I'm monitoring it in real time so I can see if there's any issues. You just can't see the screen, but I'm monitoring in real time to see if there's any issues. So how did I get to that prompt, right? So because that's the biggest thing is, obviously anybody could put into the AI chatbot, build me a vault for my house, or an inventory app for my home. Anybody could do that, and you might get a good enough product. But the prompt is just, it's not like a wish, it's actually like a product brief. A weak prompt exactly would say build me a home inventory app, but a useful build prompt defines the user, the problem, the data, features, boundaries, and design direction. And for entrepreneurs, this is really the mind shifts change when you're going from using AI as a chatbot to AI as a coding assistant or anything like that. It's that you're not just prompting, you're defining actual workflows and actual systems. And once you really figure out what you're really doing is creating workflows as well as product briefs, you actually start seeing all the opportunities possible within your own business. So I'm just going to show you. I built these 6 tools just yesterday, so just in one day. Now, that's not to say this is a complete end-to-end solution, and I will need, I will need some more backend support on them. I need some security testing. I need some data validation. But at the end of the day, I was able to design and create 6 different prototypes that a business can use in one single day. Less than 24 hours, actually, I was able to create all of them. I'll go through all of them, but just to give you context and what is actually possible with this technology. Sorry, just give me one second. Okay, so the first one is a CRM, and just so you know, you will have access to all of these from on my website. Tammy, I'm not sure if there's a way to directly provide the link, but they will have access to the presentation, including all of these tools, as well as the tool that we actually built today. So if you want a home vault for yourself, you can actually have it. So after it's built, I will release it so you guys actually all have a copy. So the first one I created was a CRM tool. So the idea here would be a daily scan of possible leads and then supporting you with actually reaching out to all of those individuals. So again, when you go on, there's a little demo kind of set up so you can actually see how it works. The next one I set up was a virtual front office. So this is really to support businesses that want like a voice receptionist, or they want an AI chatbot that actually recruits after hours. So if somebody has any questions or and triaging and whatnot, this will help support that. And you can see that I've actually added different types of service offerings here. So you can go in and play with it to see how it could actually really support your business. The next one I created is one that, and I think there's a few individuals on here that actually work in this space, but it's more so leadership type of coaching, business coaching, life coaching, therapy. And this is not meant to be a medical product whatsoever, but it's basically in between sessions. So let's say you met with a client and you've given like life coaching, a life coaching session, and you have some things you want them to do afterwards. You can log that in here and assign it to the client. The client would then see it on their side, and then they would fill in the information. And you can also ask them to complete like just general entries on how they're feeling and whatnot, depending on the work you're trying to do. The consultant would then, before seeing you, would just run the analysis and would have like a clear understanding of the work you've done and where you kind of are before the session starts. So that's another one I created. One more I created was a print on demand tool, just because it's kind of popular online to create print on demand type of solutions. So this one side is customer facing, so the customer would design their product, add it at an order, and on the other side the owner would receive it and then process it for fulfillment. Next one I created was an affiliate marketing solution. So I know a lot of people in the online space love to do affiliate marketing. So the idea here was it would have all your links kind of embedded in it, and you could then run campaigns, and then you could actually monitor the success of those campaigns as well. And then the last one I created, this one I use personally. I have a version of this myself. So what I use it for is it's kind of like a co-pilot in my life to help me make decisions. So I will log things like my money, goals, journal entries, family stuff. I'll log all of that stuff in here. And I have an AI advisor in here then that has access to all that information. So then I can ask it questions like, can I afford this trip? And then it'll give me an honest response on whether or not that's feasible. So I created these actually just to show you what is possible, not to sell anything, just to show you exactly what is possible in just one afternoon of building with AI. So now I'm going to start going through some of the more practical pieces about using AI. This gets a little bit technical, but again, this is being recorded, plus you're going to have access to this after. But this is the work that's necessary to do so that you can actually create really cool products for yourself. Before I go there, sorry, this is how most people have actually seen AI. So all of these took me less than a minute, I think, to create. So just FYI, like there are lots of really cool tools that can still create these types of assets really, really quickly as well. Okay, so we're going to start looking at, I'm going to use Claude Code for the screens to show you what's actually happening under the hood. And then we'll go back to Codex because, again, they're pretty similar in how they work. So this is your build screen. This is where the AI kind of works. It can create and edit files in here. It can run commands in here. It can see errors. It can prepare a preview. One useful concept here, and it may be a bit technical, but just know that a lot of the times in coding, what people are doing is creating like project files that gives the AI basically context and history that it can actually just keep on going back to so it doesn't lose memory. That's just something to know. You don't have to memorize it, just something to know that people do create these types of context documents to keep within their coding environment. Now I'm going to start digging into these features here so you guys know what these things mean. So here, right here, it asks you local, OneDrive, all of that. So now here, I'm going to explain what that means. So this is where your actual workspace is. So local means it works on files on your computer, your actual machine. And cloud just means it works in a separate space online. So this is one big difference with chatting. Chatting, you just chat and that's about it. But with building with AI, you need to actually give it an environment, a place to work, because that's where it will save all your files and folders. Because obviously, if you're developing an app or a tool, it will have files associated with it, and it has to place those somewhere. Next, I'm just going to go back here a second so I can show you what I'm referencing. So here, this is plan mode. This has to do with permissions, which I'm going to talk about now. So these are the permissions. So you can give the AI bypass permissions or auto mode, meaning that it won't ask you for permission to do something. It'll just kind of take control of your computer, kind of like a remote in when somebody remotes into your system. It'll just give you access. It'll give it access and it kind of does whatever it wants. Obviously, if it's sensitive information, you don't want to do that. You don't want to put it on bypass. You can have it on ask permissions, in which case every time it's working, it will ask you, is it okay for me to do this? Is it okay for me to open this document? And so that's a very important setting in the coding environment. So these three features here, so this, and this really have to do with your coding environment. I'm going to move on to chat, which is what everybody is most familiar with. So this is likely the screen that everybody is most familiar with, whether it be in Claude or whether it be ChatGPT, Grok, doesn't matter, but you probably just use this box in here and probably not too many of these additional features. So today I want to show you how to use these additional features and not just a chat bot. So I'm going to focus, before I do that, I want to focus on another modality that exists with Claude and doesn't exist necessarily with with Codex. The reason I'm bringing it up, because I think it's an easy entry point for a lot of people to use AI for coding and for more than just chat. So Claude Cowork is basically kind of like you're just assigning work to a system, or like you're assigning work to an intern or whatnot, and then you would review the work at the end. So you're able to really delegate. And I would encourage a lot of people, I would encourage everyone, if you're scared of coding, but you want to do a little bit more with AI, this is where I would start. I would definitely start with Claude Cowork just to see what the capabilities are there. One fun exercise that I've done, and I encourage everyone to do it because it's just somewhat mind-blowing that it can do that, is if you give it access to your entire downloads folder, it'll organize everything for you within less than like 2 minutes. I don't know how much you guys download, but I do quite a bit. So that was quite an amazing feature. But once you start playing with it, you'll actually see like the utility with it. But I do encourage, if you're scared of Claude Code or you're scared of coding in general, start with Cowork. You can even start asking Cowork to actually develop tools for you, and it should support that as well. Okay, now I just want to talk about these few other features. And again, the reason I'm mentioning this is anybody can talk to a chatbot. Anybody can just put information into even Claude Code. But what will differentiate you from competition, and this will be true ongoing in the future, what will differentiate you is how you set up your environment, the skills you're using, how you customize it to yourself is really going to be the distinction to other systems. So this is where we get into really customization. So projects, however, they help keep like context together. They help keep files, examples, decisions. They keep all of that together so that reduces the amount of time you're explaining things to the AI. So it's done for context building. And then you can customize. So in customizing, you have things like connectors, skills, plugins, which I'll quickly go through. So again, I want to show you exactly where I got this from. So if you clicked this button here in any environment, you will get something like this drop-down menu here. And from here, you click connectors. So what the connectors do is they actually extend the ability of the AI to speak to your other tools. So I have it, for example, connected to Figma, Gamma, Gmail, my Google Calendar. So it has access already to all of these pieces. And you can connect it to, I think there's hundreds and hundreds of different connections that are possible. Similarly, and I'm going to go into skills now. So similarly, you can set up your environment to customize to yourself by having different skills. And skills are most useful for repeatable workflows. So things like your brand voice, reports, audits. If you keep giving the same type of instructions, that's probably like a reusable skill or project instruction that you can just build here. And so what that would mean is, let's just say you have something that you really want a team member to do just because it's taking so much time. All you would have to do is develop a skill for it, then hand the skill over to your employee. And once that skill is inserted into their environment, they'd be able to do the work just like they were you, for example. The next is plugins. Plugins are super cool just because a lot of these are actually created by Anthropic or like by the companies themselves. So what these will do will extend your ability. So for example, this is Anthropic's marketing tool. This is finance. This is operations. So this is basically expert agents. That would work. So if I call in a marketing plugin, basically now I have access to like an expert marketer. If I call in finance, it's a financial analyst. Basically, I'm calling in. These are the types of things that came out a little while ago that really kind of broke the stock market, where they were. I think there was even the legal industry. I think there was impact on some companies just because it came up with a legal plugin. I think it's right here. This legal plugin actually abolished a whole industry within legal support. So these are very high-end types of plugins that really give you additional utility, almost like an entire marketing team, entire engineering team, entire finance team. So very, very useful to have in your systems as well. And then finally, we have scheduled tasks, which are just repeatable tasks that you can put in, that you can have reoccurring for you at any time. And I want to be clear about something because it's very easy to think that, I can just use AI to develop anything I want. I always keep humans in the loop. I have kept humans in the loop through and through. I build for pharmacy all day long as well. When I do that, I work with developers very closely so that they review my code. And when I work with clients, I specifically work with developers as well so that they're reviewing the code. I think there is a lot of risk of having AI slop out there if you're not using developers for these purposes. So again, my work is not about cutting anybody out of the equation ever. My work is really about seeing where everybody fits in this new reality with AI, and having developers review security, review just the code itself to make sure it's not messy, making sure that the product is actually scalable is actually quite critical. Now we're at the point where I can go back to the demo, but because jumping between screens can give a bit of motion sickness. So I'm just gonna pause here for a second just to talk a little bit about my business and how you can get in contact with me. So what I do is support businesses wherever they're at, individuals and businesses wherever they're at. It's basically an end-to-end solution for AI support. So if you want a little bit of AI support just in the education side and you feel like you can go and build the tools yourself after that, that's perfectly fine. And I'm happy to support you in just getting the skills that you need to get to that point. Or if you want, on the other side, on the other end of the extreme, is custom builds. And if you think a custom build is what you're looking for, and that's a solution you need, I do have a full development team at this point. So we work end to end to get you that custom solution as well. This QR code, is in here in the slide deck, so you can use it when it's made available. But basically, it will take you to an audit screen. You can enter information about your company and workflows that may be impacting you, and then that'll come to me, and we can do an analysis on your business and see, where to start, what actually makes most sense for you in terms of implementing AI.